Marge departs for heaven long before Homer, leaving her children as unfulfilled adults, but her wish for Bart and Lisa to continue to have a close bond of sisterhood doesn't come true because over time they have grown apart, something that wouldn't have happened if Marge had still been alive.
Pass before Homer, if you can believe it.
4 years ago in the Simpsons' house where a young Marge asked her husband Homer, who had a few more hairs than his bald scalp today does. She wants to go to the supermarket, so she tells him to please take care of the little ones and gives him a series of instructions. Among those, she asks him to please not give them Twinkies for dinner and to not let them watch television so his lazy ass can take a nap. The not-so-bald man watched television, but he assured his wife that of course he would take care of everything. But as soon as she leaves, little Lisa and little Bart approach him to tell him that they are bored, and Homer does the absolutely contrary to what Marge told him not to do, because he remembers Marge's instructions a little distortedly, and he believes that his wife told him to give his children Twinkies for dinner, to allow them to watch television and to get drunk. The boys then start watching TV. They don't agree on what to watch, and so they start fighting. They start changing television channels in a haphazard manner until they end up on the Itchy and Scratchy show. The show immediately catches them, and the boys end up watching this episode, which was full of fire, bombs, and quite a lot of violence. Both Lisa and Bart loved this episode so much that both brothers bonded and promised, using Twinkies, that they would watch the show together every day. From now on, little by little, each day goes by, and we see how the brothers, while their father is lying on the couch, after a few beers, are enjoying the show together, with the usual violence. Bart and Lisa make a sacred promise to watch the show together every day forever, and they start doing so as the time progresses. Even Marge, who clearly doesn't agree with the boys watching so much television, now even prepares snacks for them. The boys always watch the show together every day. And so we return to the present day, when Bart and Lisa arrive home that day from school and are eager to watch their favourite show, without realising that Marge had a surprise for them, and shows them how Maggie now had pyjamas reminiscent of the show. This horrifies the kids, because they realise that at that time, the cartoon began to be made for babies, so they return to school and tell everyone that the show is now for very young children, and we all know how lame that is. Then all the kids begin to get rid of everything they had related to the cartoon, even going so far as to burn everything they had. Wow. At home, Marge prepares her children's usual snacks to share while they watch television. However, she doesn't see them there, so she first looks for Bart in his room, and Bart tells her that they will no longer watch anything together because Itchy and Scratchy is a cartoon for children, and that now everyone will watch their favourite programmes, although Marge can't make him watch anything with his sighter. So before leaving, the little one gives him some toys and things he had from the show so that she gets rid of them. Marge then makes his attempt, but now with Lisa. However, the girl is also now watching her with a show much more sophisticated and similar to her in terms of intelligence, a series from the Golden Age, which honestly looks also pretty lame. Marge is very sad to see that her children are growing up and no longer share time together. Marge will decide to put the Itchy and Scratchy's toys in the trash. Thus, a melancholic song begins that speaks of a mother's love and how children grow up. Meanwhile, we see images of them looking at Bart and Lisa and begin to realise how they no longer enjoy the programme together. A musical in the style of Toy Story, like When They Threw Away Jessie, that moves the heartstrings of anyone. It talks about how one day you're a child and you love your toys, and the next day you've grown up, and your tastes have changed, and what once made you happy has changed.
And it breaks the heart of their sweet loving mother.
So they transform into dolls again and return to the box. The woman tells her husband that she has noticed that Bart and Lisa no longer spend so much time together. Homer doesn't give it much importance, like anything in his life. But Marge clarifies that she doesn't want her children to be the kind of siblings who grow up to grow apart.
And end up like Sweet Johnson and CJ Johnson in Grand Theft Auto.
The next day, we see that while Homer was playing GTA 6 in his underwear in his living room, Marge talks to his children and tells them that they must promise her that they will always be together, because there will come a time when neither Homer nor she will be there, and they must continue to be united, although Lisa reassures her mother by telling her that him will always be together. The reality is that time passes, and the difference between Bart and Lisa was quite great. The boy grew up and became just another Homer, while Lisa was a successful woman. That's how the sad day that no one wanted came. Marge dies. And we see how during at the funeral were her sad widower Homer and her children. Man, this is so sad. 35 years later, we see that Lisa has become a prominent businesswoman who runs the NBA. That day she was being interviewed as she became one of the most successful women in the world. In the interview, she clarifies that the secret to her success has been being able to follow the ideals of her mother, who always encouraged them to do good. Right in the middle of the interview, Lisa received a call in which her former school asked her to give a speech. She also received a fax from Bart, who told her he couldn't find the check to pay for their father's nursing home.
Dude, you forgot to send me the check for Dad's retirement home. Oh, wait, I found it in a drawer with my weed.
To shock the interviewer, she emphasized to Lisa that she didn't know she had a brother, and then she told her that since she was little, they had grown apart, and although she tried to help him so he could attend air conditioning school, Barry dropped out because he couldn't stand being able to enter the fraternity he wanted. Later, we see that Lisa arrives back in Springfield for her speech and tours the city. She first sees Barney, but it turns out that when she looks closely, it's Nelson, because clearly, we all know it's a secret that is her long-lost son. Deny it. Lisa decides to go visit her father at the nursing home, but the nurse tells her that he wasn't visiting because the elderly went to a museum visit. The girl decides to leave, but before her speech, she stops by her family home, which she notices is in quite a state of disrepair. Upon entering, Lisa notices that her elderly father Homer, along with his other elderly friends, are having a party. Bart is supposed to be taking care of them, but everything is complete chaos. Lisa gets very angry and complains to her brother because it turns out that her father hasn't been at the retirement home for 3 years, and she's been paying for it. At that time, the same nurse who told Lisa at the retirement home that it wasn't a visiting day appears. She's in the morning, the nurse, and in the afternoon, the stripper. Lisa sits down with her brother and complains about what he's done these years with all the money she sends him for the nursing home. It turns out Bart doesn't work and has this illegal nursing home, and it was Milhouse who took him to get the money, not only from Lisa, but from the rest of Homer's friends. That's a nice and smart scheme. He defends himself by saying that fraud isn't a crime and that he's actually good at taking care of men. Although Lisa tells him he's not responsible because he leaves his keys lying everywhere, a noise is heard outside, and it turns out it's Kenny crashing her car. This makes the girl furious, telling him how big of a pathetic loser he is in every aspect of life.
Probably a father. Nobody gets pregnant from the kind of sex I have.
Because of this, Lisa has no choice but to take her old bike to get to school. Once there, in her speech, she mentions that when you have a big dream, doesn't matter the obstacles. As long as you work hard, you can achieve your dreams. Everything seems fine. Suddenly has a breakdown because she's tired of her brother, who doesn't do things right. Lisa returns home, and she handles the situation with the old people quite well and even has fun. Homer, seeing his daughter, asks her to play with them, and she acts like a fool, but her father insists, and she does, having fun too. We see that they tell Bark that Lenny is missing, something not good due to his senile mental condition. This worries the boy, who takes his father's old car and runs to find the old man. Lenny is up in a tree. When Bart asks him what he's doing, he tells her he's at Moe's Tavern waiting for his beer, but in reality, he was drinking a squirrel. Going with the flow, Bart says it's better if he has a nice beer that's down there. So easy. Then he goes down from the tree and gets into the car with them. This leaves Lisa quite impressed, who realizes that her brother is quite good at handling the situation with the old people. Something a bit complicated, as we have seen. When they arrive at the house, they see a van leaving, and they see that all of their father's friends are upset. When they ask what happened, it turns out that Homer was kidnapped from the retirement home. Due to a complaint from Lisa, the girl seems quite remorseful for what she did. Then it's the Bart's turn to complain that because of her, they won't see their father again. She seems quite remorseful, and then Homer's friends tell her that he was an excellent caregiver and that he treated them with empathy and dignity, unlike at that retirement home.
Oh boy. We had a good thing going here, but you just had to come and Lisa it up.
Then she brings up the subject of the theft of the money she sent to her father. But then her brother tells her that he only took that money to their needs. Suddenly, the garage opens, and we see that Bart had a red Camaro there. And although the girl thought it was something luxurious and on a whim, it turns out that he took the old people for a ride before going to sleep. Everyone goes into the house. There, Lisa tries to call so she can get her father back, but they tell her that he will be sent to Florida. Very worried, Lisa tries to think of how to rescue her father, but she can't think of anything. So frustrated, she goes to the attic to think. While there, Lisa, along with a Bart shirt, finds a resume with Marge's last wishes, a recording that no one had seen. Lisa takes it and starts watching the video. It begins with Marge telling her husband that, in the hypothetical case that she has died, he should first remember that everything that is eaten with fat will be there. She tells Maggie that she hopes she has become the auctioneer of farm items, and she really did. Then the woman tells her that she hopes that both Lisa and Bart are closer than ever on the path of life, that they support each other and they take care of each other. Bart listens to everything and complains about being so careless, so both brothers hug and make up. They both go for a ride in Bart's red Camaro. They arrive quite close to the Florida border. When they see that Homer is on the bus that is transporting him to Florida, after Baldhead realizes that his children are there, they don't know how to stop the bus from crossing into the other state. So, using one of their Itchy and Scratchy favourite episodes as a reference, Lisa plays the amplified sound of running water, making all the elderly people on the bus desperately need to go to the bathroom. So, they make the driver stop at a turnaround. Everyone goes to the bathroom, including Homer. But then Bart enters the bathroom through the roof and pulls him out. Lisa drives Thee to the car, and so they all manage to escape back to Springfield. Once home, we see Lisa and Bart in front of the television, eating Twinkies, remembering her childhood and watching the current copy of her favourite show, while Marge proudly watches from heaven as her two children reunite. And that's not all. Now the woman is married in heaven to the famous Ringo Starr, and she's quite happy since he was her all-time crush.